This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The cabinet paper on removing salary anomalies of teachers and principals will be discussed at the cabinet meeting. The next consignment of AstraZeneca jabs to arrive on Saturday. US will continue to support Sri Lanka's fight against COVID-19. WHO chief praises Sri Lanka on vaccination process. The police request the general public to use the interprovincial transport only for essential services. Daily COVID cases moves to 2,382 yesterday, 63 more COVID fatalities reported. At least one dose of COVID vaccine has been given to 83% of teachers and non-academic staff members. Officers of Government Analysis Department visit Badudin's residence. News from overseas, Israeli court adjourns appeal against Sheikh Jarrah expulsions. In sports, England's white ball tour of Bangladesh has been postponed indefinitely. Local news in detail. Minister of Education G.L. Piri said that the cabinet paper on removing salary anomalies of teachers and principals would be discussed at the cabinet meeting. Minister Professor G.L. Piri submitted the relevant cabinet paper last week. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa had requested to give him 1 week to discuss the matter. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, during a discussion with the teachers' trade unions, recently said that it would be discussed at today's cabinet meeting. Another consignment of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is due to arrive in Sri Lanka on Saturday, August 7th, Japanese Ambassador Akira Sugiyama stated. At the personal request of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the Prime Minister of Japan, Yoshihide Suga, said the government of Japan have decided to supply 1.456 million doses of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine to Sri Lanka. The ambassador said that the vaccines are donated as assistance to fulfill the need for the second dose of AstraZeneca in Sri Lanka and in recognition of the long-standing friendship between the two countries. He made these remarks officially, handing over the consignment to the President at the Presidential Secretariat this morning, August 2nd. The President expressed special thanks to the Japanese Prime Minister, the Government of Japan and the Ambassador of Japan on behalf of the government and the people of Sri Lanka for donating the stock of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines. The first consignment of vaccines, a total of 728,460 doses, was delivered to Sri Lanka last Saturday, July 31st. Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom, said that Sri Lanka is on track to fully vaccinate 10% of its population ahead of the vaccine equity target in September. Quote, glad to see that Sri Lanka is on track to fully vaccinate 10% of its population ahead of the vaccine equity September target, thanks to the government and people of Sri Lanka for their efforts and continued vigilance on proven public health and social measures to suppress the virus, unquote, he tweeted. The police request the general public to use the interprovincial transport only for essential services. Police media spokesman Senior DIG Ajit Rohana made this request while addressing a media conference yesterday. The request is made with the sole objective of controlling the COVID pandemic situation in the country. Although the buses and train services are deployed, the general public is requested to use those transport mediums only for essential services. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The The epidemiology units of the Health Ministry reports that another 702 persons have tested positive for COVID-19 in Sri Lanka, moving the daily total of new cases to 2,382 yesterday. This brings the total number of confirmed cases of coronavirus reported in the country to 313,769. As many of 280,868 recoveries and 4,571 deaths have been confirmed in Sri Lanka since the outbreak of the pandemic. The epidemiology unit's data showed that 28,393 active cases are currently under medical care. The Director General of Health Services has confirmed 63 more COVID-19 related fatalities that have occurred yesterday. The new development has pushed the official death toll due to the virus in Sri Lanka to 4,571. According to the data released by the Department of Government Information, the new victims confirmed today include 27 females and 36 males. None of them are aged below 30 years. 17 victims are between 30 to 59 years and the remaining 46 are aged 60 and above. 4 draft bills, including Kotalawala Defence University draft bill, will be submitted this week for parliamentary approval. A supplementary estimate to allocate funds for the Health Ministry for corona eradication activities is also scheduled to be tabled in Parliament this week. The Parliament will meet at 10 a.m. today under the patronage of Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardena. It will meet until Friday. More than 10 million people in the country have received at least one dose of a coronavirus vaccine so far. 87% of those who are about 30 years has been vaccinated. The vaccination program is taking place today at 270 centers in 19 districts. The second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine is given at 109 centers. Army Commander Shavendra Siva said that the 24-hour vaccination center at Diyatha Uyana will also function today. Another 24-hour vaccination center is in operation at Vihara Mahadevi Park in Colombo. At least one dose of a COVID vaccine has been given to 83% of teachers and non-academic staff members. It's 98% in the Western Province. The second dose is scheduled to be given by the end of this month. Minister G.L. Piris said that the schools are expected to be opened following health recommendations. He requested teachers to arrive in schools to make preparations to open schools. Parliamentarian Rishad Baduddin's residence was today inspected by the Government Analysis Department and Scene of Crime officers. This was over the death of the teenage domestic worker who died of burn injuries while serving at the Baduddin's household. The officials from the Government Analysis Department searched the residence for nearly an hour while the Scene of Crime officers visited the residence in the afternoon. In addition, it's reported that officials of the Children and Women's Bureau of Sri Lanka Police also visited Baduddin's house today and recorded statements. Police have also recorded statements from nearly 40 people in connection with the death of the girl. It has been revealed that apart from the deceased teen, another 10 female domestic workers had served the Baduddin's household since 2009. However, 3 among them, including the deceased girl, have died. The police have recorded the statements from the 8 surviving employees. Meanwhile, protests were held in several parts of the country today demanding justice for the deceased teen. And that ends local news.
The largest bonus declared in the history of the Sri Lankan insurance industry. Sri Lanka Insurance Grand Bonus, an unmatchable bonus of 8.6 billion rupees only for Sri Lanka Insurance life policy holders from the nation's largest insurer. Call 0112-357-357 for more details. Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs has requested all stakeholders to make observations and to give recommendations on Tripitaka Conservation Draft Bill. The relevant observations and recommendations can be sent through email admin@mbs.gov.lk before the 5th of next month. The draft bill has been published on www.mbs.gov.lk website. Secretary to the Ministry, Professor Kapila Gunawardena said that an intellectual committee meeting in this regard will be held on the 5th, 6th and 7th at the BMICH in Colombo. Observations and recommendations in writing can be handed over to officials at the place on the 6th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And that was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight this morning, the health officials request the public to follow the health guidelines during this period. Although the travel restrictions are relaxed, the public is requested to follow the special guidelines released by the Health Ministry to control the third wave of the corona outbreak. The health officials warned that further travel restrictions will be determined in the future based on the behavior of the general public. And that came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to world news in the headlines, Israeli court adjourns appeal against Sheikh Jarrah expulsions. Afghanistan, street fighting rages as Taliban attack key city. China, COVID, concerns grow as Delta outbreak spreads. World news in detail now. Israel's Supreme Court adjourned an appeal from 4 Palestinian families against their forced expulsion from the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood in occupied East Jerusalem, as the families say they have rejected a court proposal for them to stay as protected tenants but recognize Israeli ownership. The cases examined on Monday involved 4 Palestinian families numbering a total of about 70 people. Ferocious fighting is taking place in a major Afghan city amid fears it could be the first provincial capital to fall to the Taliban. Lashkar in southern Helmand province is under heavy assault from the militants despite persistent US and Afghan airstrikes. The Taliban are said to have seized a TV station. Thousands of people fleeing rural areas took shelter in buildings. A fresh COVID outbreak in China has spread to more locations, raising concern over the country's vulnerability to the highly contagious Delta variant. More than 300 cases have been detected within a span of 10 days. Chinese media is dominated by news on the outbreak, and the country's top respiratory diseases specialist has reportedly expressed grave concern. The government has imposed fresh travel restrictions and is testing millions. Back to the headlines of the world news. Israeli court adjourns appeal against Sheikh Jarrah expulsions. Afghanistan, street fighting rages as Taliban attack key city. China, COVID, concerns grow as Delta outbreak spreads. That ends world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, #1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Win lakhs and lakhs with CIB Janajaya. 40% discount for your bills till 15th of August. 6 hand tractors at the Grand Row. CIB Janajaya.
In development news, Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom, said that Sri Lanka is on track to fully vaccinate 10% of its population ahead of the vaccine equity target in September. And that was development news.
Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, #1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Win lakhs and lakhs with CIB Janajaya. 40% discount for your bills till 15th of August. 6 hand tractors at the Grand Row. CIB Janajaya. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Savings account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Pan Asia Banking Corporation PLC reported an impressive performance for the 6 months ended 30th June 2021 to report a pre-tax profit of 1,822 million and a post-tax profit of 1,356 million with growth rates of 27% and 50% respectively, while demonstrating resilience amid challenging macroeconomic conditions. And that was business news.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Savings account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
In sports news, it's cricket. Sri Lanka's white ball tour of Bangladesh, which was originally scheduled for September and October this year, has been postponed indefinitely. While sources within English cricket have suggested the postponement was the decision of the BCB, there has been no confirmation at this point. A statement is expected shortly, however, with the reason given likely to have complications around COVID protocols. That was sports news.
Economic news. Courtesy of
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
In economic news, the Bank of Ceylon has restructured its trade finance division to enable the establishment of a special export circle division that will serve as a single focal point for all the banking needs of the export sector. The physical center was launched yesterday at the BOC Tower with an earlier virtual launch by the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The export circle is expected to take on new staff and the clientele will be given expedited service through the separate office space assigned to the division. BOC Deputy General Manager MJP Salgado noted that the export focus was part of the Saubhagya Dakma manifesto of the government. Given the current dollar's shortage, Salgado opined that the launch of the export circle was done at the right time and through the division that exporters shall be ensured access to dollar liquidity. And that was economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
In the weather report, the Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the Sabragamo and Western Province and in Nuwara, Kandy, Galle and Mathura districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the Uva Province and in the Ampara district during the evening or at night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. Fairly strong winds up to 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times in the Hambantota district. This weather report was published this morning at 4:30 a.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the International Weather Forecast website AccuWeather.com predicts that Colombo weather would be generally bright during the day, but there will be cloudy weather in the afternoon. Today's daytime temperature would be around 29 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 29 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in selected spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be 27 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index is 18, which shows fair condition in Colombo. The air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. And that was the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Back to the headlines of this news broadcast. The Cabinet paper on removing salary anomalies of teachers and principals will be discussed at the Cabinet meeting. Next consignment of AstraZeneca jabs to arrive on Saturday. US will continue to support Sri Lanka's fight against COVID-19. WHO chief praises Sri Lanka on vaccination process. The police request the general public to use the interprovincial transport only for essential services. Daily COVID caseload moves to 2,382 yesterday. 63 more COVID fatalities reported. At least one dose of a COVID vaccine has been given to 83% of teachers and non-academic staff members. Officials of Government Analysis Department visit Badudin's residence. News from overseas. Israeli court adjourns appeal against Sheikh Jarrah expulsions. In sports cricket, England's white ball tour of Bangladesh has been postponed indefinitely. And with that, we end this news broadcast.